WNDS Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Strikes, featuring the best candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now, in our 17th season, here's your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and we're happy to have you with us. It's our 17th season, and it's continuously the highest-rated show on WNDS, and that's because of you, the faithful followers of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. It's our fourth ladder series of the season, and we're looking for a bowler after these next 4 weeks to join the three who've already qualified for the Tournament of Champions.
All crowd favorites here at Leda Lanes, including Gary Carrington sitting on top of the ladder with a 414. Gary Santora, winner a couple ladders ago at 403. And another crowd favorite, another North Shore bowler, Mike Morgan. He's in third place at 397.
We have three veterans in this next ladder series, two newcomers you'll meet higher up the ladder. Let's meet our bowlers for the first match this afternoon. First, our number 5 seed, no stranger to Candlepin bowling fans, Scott Crayton of Weymouth, Massachusetts.
That's right, participant last year, Dick, in the Tournament of Champions, coming in with an average of 120. High single of 192. Scotty's high triple is 455, and Scott bowls at the Hanover Bowlodrome in Hanover, Massachusetts.
And Scott rolled a 688 to earn his number 5 seed in this ladder series, and he'll be taking on our number 4 seed, Rich Clark from Bedford, New Hampshire.
Seems like we see Rich every year in the Tournament of Champions as well. It's good to have him back. A couple of different bowling centers. He's got averages of 128 and 123. High single 195. Rich's high triple is 467. And he's changed his bowling venues this past year. He's at the Park Place in Wyndham and at St. Joseph's in Haverhill. That's where his traveling team bowls out of at St. Joe's.
And Rich rolled a 670 to earn his number 4 seed. It's Scott Crayton and Rich Clark. We're going to get right to it when we come back to Leda Lanes for our first match of this new ladder series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We'll be right back.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire.
All right, here you see our ladder for this fourth ladder series, including two newcomers, our top seed Jeff Bugia and number 3 seed Jeremy Seaholm, both 19 years old, both making their first appearance on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And our first match this afternoon featuring Scott Crayton taking on Rich Clark, and it'll be Scott Crayton first to bowl here this afternoon at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. And we're happy to have you with us for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Scott's a veteran. He's been under the bright lights many times in the past.
It was kind of a rough way to start. Very thin hit on the head pin, leaving a cluster of 4 on the left and the 10 pin by itself on the right-hand side with the piece of wood between the cluster and the 10 pin. He'll obviously go up for the 4 on the left.
And almost make the shot.
So the 4, 7, and 8 remain. Piece of wood tucked in the middle of the triangle, and he'll get 9.
9 box for Scott to start out. On this day that we are taping, it is snowing in Nashua, New Hampshire, and what always amazes me, and we talk about it, Michael, week after week, is the devoted fans that come to Candlepin Stars and Strikes to our taping one Tuesday a month, and that they're here this morning is a real testimony.
It is. They were, a few of them, a little slow in getting here, but there was a lot of traffic. Scott Crayton, who comes up from the South Shore, said it took him 2.5 hours to get to Nashua. The roads weren't bad, but there was a lot of traffic. But you're right, these people will brave any weather to be with us. We thank you for that.
And 10 box for Scott. He starts out with a 19. Check it, a 9 box. Now Rich Clark, another veteran of Candlepin Bowling Wars. He's been on television a lot, on the old Channel 5 show one time, on Channel 50 nearly 20 times, including a couple of appearances in the Tournament of Champions.
He's always around at the end of the season. Although he doesn't get to qualify for all the ladder series because of all the work with his family business, which is Clark Farms in Bedford, New Hampshire.
And he starts off with a spare. And you will notice, those of you who have been watching Candlepin bowling for many years, that Rich has donned spectacles.
I've noticed that.
And the reason for that is he underwent surgery on an eye after an injury on the farm. A piece of metal, after working on a piece of equipment, found its way into his eye, and he had to be rushed to Tufts in Boston for emergency surgery. And he was telling me before we started taping that the piece of metal debris was within 1 millimeter of causing severe permanent damage to his eye.
Now, how long ago did that happen?
It happened on June 1st.
We're talking about 7 months ago. And he apparently has adapted all right to the specs, huh?
It took some getting used to, he told me. But that is the case with all of us who wear glasses. It takes a little getting used to. But he's thankful that he didn't lose the sight in his eye, and everything seems to be okay, and things are pretty much normal for Rich Clark. And now Scott Crayton to the line.
Yeah, I've had to go to reading glasses here recently, and it's constantly pulling them off and putting them on. My distance vision isn't quite bad enough to really get a prescription to wear them all the time, so it's really annoying.
I suppose you probably use that as an excuse. Oh, look at Scott Crayton make the spare.
Here we go.
Going to use that as an excuse now, Michael?
Are you referring to our upcoming bowling match at Pilgrim Lanes in February?
I'm just bracing myself for all of the alibis that you'll lay on us.
All right. You go ahead and talk your big game again, big boy.
Scott on the spare, a spread eagle.
I have been assured by Kevin LaFawn that we will indeed have video evidence of our bowling match on February 25th. We'll tell you more about that in the next couple of weeks. For those that can't make it, we'll condense it down and show it sometime when we have a few extra minutes at the end of one of our weekly shows.
Scott picked one off the spread eagle. 3 on the right, 2 on the left. That's going to be a 6 box for Scott. So with the mark, he only netted 20 pins in the 2 boxes.
Our runner-up today wins $150. The high single each match nets the bowler $50. We've got a nice system of bonus money as well for consecutive marks.
Rich almost had the 4 horsemen on the left side, but 3 of the 4 horses bit the dust. And he's left with a 7-pin in the corner. Some wood out front. And he picks the 7-pin cleanly for his second mark of the first string. Rich is 38 years old. As Michael told you, he's the farm manager for Clark Farms in Bedford. He and his wife Cynthia have a couple of children, a daughter Lauren who's 9 and Brandon is 7. Puts a 7 in the spare. We told you in the past about Rich's hobbies. One is woodworking. Another is he loves cars, old cars, and his model railroading hobby is somewhat unique as Rich throws it between the 2 and the 7. He likes to videotape real freight trains.
Doesn't have much time to do it these days, though, he told me.
That's going to be a 9 box for Rich Clark, and he's at 51 through 4. A 13-pin lead early in the match.
Might seem like kind of an odd hobby, but there's a whole lot of people around the country that are just true lovers of trains.
Trains, planes, and other things. Scott Crayton right on the head pin, and there they go. Second mark of the first string for Scott Crayton, and the first strike of the match, which reminds me that we have $900 in our triple strike jackpot as we begin today. 3 strikes in a row is worth $900. Scott's a third of the way there. And then he threw another good pocket shot, but he left a split. The 4, 7, and 10 with some wood.
Yeah, we started with $500 in September with the first ladder, and it adds up $25 every week that we don't give it away. So now it's $900.
Watch out. Will it go? Will it have enough zip to take it down? It won't. The 4 and the 7 go. The 10 pin still stands. Put 9 in the strike. And a 10 box. Rich Clark was telling us before the taping of the competition in the Worlds up in Canada that his team lost by 1 pin. The last frame, they had a spare and needed a 3 to tie the match and a 4 to win the match. And the bowler threw a half Worcester for
Ouch.
2 pins, and they lost by a pin.
That was a long car ride back from Bangor, Maine, I'm sure.
And it was a bowler from the host lanes in
Oh, it
Bangor
was.
who
Oh,
threw
boy.
the half Worcester.
Ouch.
Rich on the spare, will put a strike in it. There they go. Rich never saw that last pin fall. He heard the crowd roar,
Yeah.
and turned around and then watched.
He was getting down to reach for his second ball off the ball return rack, and the 3-pin toppled forward. Now Rich can start to think about that possible $900 triple strike jackpot.
Scott Crayton on lane 34.
Well, it's the dreaded 710 with wood at about a 45-degree angle in front of the 10-pin, still moving, and the 7-pin has some perpendicular wood. So he's got no choice really but to go for the right side of the 10-pin, which will probably serve as a roadblock with that piece of wood.
He's taking a shot at it. Look at that shot by Scott Crayton off the wall. The ball hit the wood in the lane. The ball went off the wall to the right and took the 10-pin, and the dead wood went across the lane and picked the 7-pin. A great shot by Scott Crayton.
Dead wood in the gutter left untouched. Had the ball touched the wood in the gutter, it would have been considered a dead ball. So that was threading the needle, Dick.
Now on the spare, he'll put 5 in the spare. Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV is presented by the Thompson family of dealerships, McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Hyundai, Nashua Mitsubishi, and Nashua Daewoo, all located in the New England Automotive Village on the Daniel Webster Highway in Nashua, New Hampshire. There you see Scott's high single of 192, and he'll put an 8-box on the board. 90 through 8 for Scott Crayton. Now Rich Clark's working on a double mark. He's looking for some bonus money. $50 for 3 marks in a row, and as we mentioned earlier, $900 for 3 strikes in a row. Right on the head pin. Got the 2, the 4, and the 10 with some wood on the lane.
Looks like enough wood that he could do some damage with this shot if he hits it right.
Now it's going to have to spray. I'm not sure there's any way to predict what's going to happen here.
2, the 4, and the 10.
He shot it just a little bit too far to the left of the piece of wood out front. He was trying to slide that wood over. And that'll be a 9-box for Rich Clark. He's at 98 through 7.
For the 17-pin lead through completed frames. Now in the 8th, he's up against a Scott Crayton 8.
Rich owns the house record for 5 strings at King Lanes. Shot last February in 1999, 784. That's remarkable.
You were telling me he did some very fine bowling here in anticipation of the next series, in case he doesn't win this one.
Look at this spare by Rich Clark.
My backdoor.
Great shot making by Rich Clark, his 5th mark of the first string. He just nudged that object pin, and then the wood came back to help out. Scott Crayton.
Well, there's an odd leave.
The 3, the 8, and the 10 with some wood. Makeable shot the way the wood is set up there.
Absolutely.
Of course, hitting the 3-pin is key. Well, he hit the 3-pin, but just got a little piece of it.
You know, Scott is out of the lobster business.
He's making pizzas.
Making pizzas. He says it's the best pizza south of Boston in Halifax.
He didn't bring us any, did he?
No. Well, after a 2.5-hour ride up from Weymouth, I'm not sure I'd want to be eating any 3-day-old pizza. Let me see if I can read the name of this place he works at here. Monponsett Restaurant in Halifax. keeping his options open. May go back to lobstering, but at this point, he's going to be a pizza man.
I wonder if he makes a lobster pizza.
Ooh, does that
good.
sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Scott has a makeable shot here. We've got the 3, the 6, and the 10 with some wood between the 3 and the 6. And there it goes, but the 10 pin still stands. Watch out. Will that wood have enough to take it? I don't think so. Nope, won't even touch it.
Pin wasn't long enough. Would have needed a 17-inch pin instead of 15 inches to take it down.
And that's going to be a 9 box for Scott, a 109 first string for Scott Crayton, our number 5 seed. He will trail Rich Clark going into the second string. Rich is already at 108 plus a ball. So Rich has a chance to really open up some distance right here in the first string. It's off the head pin. He'll put just 6 in the spare.
Fairly similar to the last spare that he had when he got that help off the wall.
Well, the head pin is key right here. Now the 7 pin still stands. Looked to me like he shot it right where he wanted to.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing.
The head pin just didn't take the 7 pin. That'll be a 9 box. He's at 123 through 9. So Rich is looking at a 130 plus in his first string. Spread eagle right on the head pin. Three on the right go. He's at 130. Rich and Scott use the same colored balls, same design on the balls, so they wait for each. They have to wait for each other's. 10 box, 133 first string for Rich Clark, and he will take a 24-pin lead over Scott Crayton into the second string of our match. It's the first match of the 4th ladder series of this new season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We come back to Leda Lanes right after this on WNDS TV. Rich Clark will lead us off in our second string this afternoon from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutzk with Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV crew here to bring Candlepin Stars and Strikes your way. And we're so happy that you're able to join us each and every week. Here's Rich's first shot right in the pocket, and he leaves the 4 and the 10. Week after week, this program continues to get significantly high ratings, and it just goes to show that the loyal audience that follows Candlepin Stars and Strikes is continuing to grow. Rich tried the unorthodox way to get that shot. He went to the deeper pin, but tried to bounce some wood off the wall and slide it across and wasn't able to do it.
Well, it just shows his level of experience. The average bowler would probably have gone for the 4 pin, but he knew he had a shot of banking the pin in front of the 10 back to the 4, and he did, but the pin was
not quite angled correctly. There's Rich right in the pocket again, and another pin goes, so he's got the 9 pin, or the 8 pin in the back row with a piece of wood in front, and
not
problematic for Rich because he's a left-handed bowler coming at it from that angle.
And it stays there.
Time it right. He needs a clear shot at the pin, or he's got to cap the wood.
And the rules of the game state you are to wait till the pin stops moving. And it couldn't be in a worse place.
He's got to cap the wood. He's got to actually, he's got to shoot at the 7 pin right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he took the shot. Nice shot by Rich Clark for the spare in the second frame. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is being directed today by Larry Taylor. Don Cronin's on audio. Nick Poulin working the tape machine, and our camera crew. Bob Dole, Jared Conlon, and Kevin LaFawn. Dave McCarthy's in the truck on replay.
There's your 1, 3, and 10 piece of wood to the right of the 3 pin. Could be of some help.
Got to hit that head pin, though. be a 9 box for Scott. Scott's last time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, he was the number 6 seed. In last year's Tournament of Champions, he defeated Joe Tavernese 401 to 372, and then beat Gary Santora in a 2-frame roll-off. Then he lost to number 3 seed Chris Beauvert. Earlier in the year, it was Crayton who beat Beauvert to win that spot in the Tournament of Champions, only to be beaten by Chris, who later on made the tournament in a subsequent ladder series.
And won it all last year. $1,500 top prize. Tournament of Champions, of course, getting underway this April with 6 bowlers, the 6 ladders. 1, 7, 9, 10. A couple pieces of wood right in the center and left side of the lane.
The 7-pin still stands.
Rich Clark doing a few deep knee bends there at lane 34. Warming up for his 3rd frame attempt, following a spare in the 2nd.
Nice article written by John Valente in the Boston Globe just before Christmas, Mike, about Candlepin bowling and the resurgence that Candlepin bowling is experiencing in many areas in New England, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire, and Maine in particular. And John was pointing out that the heyday of Candlepin bowling back in the 60s and 70s certainly experienced a decline. No one would deny that, but the late 80s and 90s, it seems to be rebounding, and the early part of the new century, there seems to be a newfound enjoyment and experience of Candlepin bowling, and a lot of young people are finding it. And you're going to see 2 very young people in this ladder series, 2 19-year-olds, which is really indicative of the type of people who are coming into the game.
You're right, Dick, and they are products of the junior bowling programs at various bowling centers around New England. You talk about resurgence, I think I might break it down a little further and say selective resurgence. Some areas, the bowling game has come back in areas where proprietors have really done a good job keeping up with the times and marketing their game to the younger bowler.
John Valente points that out in his article, that the bowling owners that have really stayed with the times have done well.
And the bowlers that he mentioned I'm sorry, the center owners that he mentioned are people that I know very well. Dan Murphy, Nick Muskilly at Park Place Lanes. These guys have always been on the cutting edge, and other proprietors can look to them for examples of what the right thing is to do with Candlepin bowling if it is going to survive.
Rich Clark with a spare in the 4th, the 2nd mark of the string. Now Scott Crayton will leave the 7 and 10 with some wood.
I mean, if your bowling center isn't doing rock and bowl or globe bowling or atomic bowling, it should be. Talk to your proprietor about it.
Scott hit the wood dead on. So he will be open in the 3rd frame. And an 8 box. And he needs a mark right here. He'll be in a deep hole.
Yeah, just keeps losing more and more ground to Rich Clark, who's marked in 2 of his first 4 frames in the 2nd game.
Off the head pin, the 4 horsemen with the 9 pin in the back.
It's a man who loves saltwater fishing as his hobby.
Missed the head pin, took out the 9 pin, leaving the 4 horsemen on the left side still standing. So as we go to the break, Rich Clark will have a significant lead. And that's a nice 10 box for Scott to salvage the 10. He's open, and a 33-pin lead in the match. As we go to the break, Rich Clark will be bowling when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNBS TV. Rich Clark will bowl on lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. No, I'm not speaking with the New England accent and leaving the R off Leda. It's L-E-D-A.
Do we get mail that says Leda Lanes?
I watched myself and I say people must think that. Here's Rich Clark right in the pocket. Will it go? It will not. It'll be a 9-pin fill in the spare. If you want to find out more about what's going on at Leda Lanes, you can find them online at www.leda, Lanes. There's the spare for Rich Clark. LedaLanes.org, O-R-G. And you can find information about the next roll-off. You can find information about leagues that are going on at Leda Lanes. Ray Simino and Sean Howard do a great job here getting everybody involved in what's available to you at Leda Lanes. And I was told that during the NFL playoffs recently, they had a big crowd in the lounge here watching the games.
Well, still have the Super Bowl coming up on the 28th. Get down here to Leda Lanes and watch it with your friends.
Rich gave it his best effort with the body English and the hop and the skip, and he couldn't get that 5-pin to fall. And that'll be a 9-box for Rich. He's at 81 through 6.
Leaving the door open just a bit for Scott Crayton, who's not been able to take advantage of it with any marks this game, and only 3 last string. A spare, 2 spares, and a strike. That's it. 3 marks all day, halfway through for Scott Crayton out of Weymouth, Mass.
Look at that shot for Scott, right on the head pin. And he gets 2 pins, the 1 and the 9. You couldn't do that if you tried. He adds the 6.
Oh.
That's going to be a 4-box for Scott Crayton.
Crowd shouting, take another ball.
I heard that. That's I don't think we've seen a 4-box.
Not that I remember, no. We probably have, but those are the things you want to forget. I feel badly for the guy.
See if he can follow up with a strike. He will. Will that pin go? The 4-pin wobbles.
So from a 4-box to a 4-pin.
Couldn't get a break, though. He needed the break with the strike.
Oh, boy.
Threw it away. Just missed it to the left. So he will be open through 6 with a 9-box. 50 through 6 for Scott Crayton. Almost got the strike and then couldn't convert the spare. A 55-pin lead in the match now for Rich Clark over Scott Crayton, with 14 boxes to go in the match. And Rich with a spread eagle right on the head pin, straight through.
Did he do that to make Scott Crayton feel better, do you think? That was
I kind of doubt it.
A sympathy spread eagle.
I want to acknowledge a nice note that we got from Benjamin Fay from Ayer, Massachusetts, a longtime viewer of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Mr. Fay is 80 years young, and he writes about his experiences with Candlepin bowling, and there are many of them. And we certainly do appreciate hearing from you. We'd like to hear from you wherever you may be watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Our mailing address is Candlepin Stars and Strikes, WNDS TV, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. And we love to hear from you, our loyal viewers of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And if you've got some Candlepin bowling anecdotes, pass them along to us, and we'll pass them along to the rest of your friends who watch Candlepin bowling every week on WNDS TV.
You mentioned that. We had a gentleman who's here in this audience today handed me a little information about a bowling league, Dick, that he believes is the oldest continuous bowling league in the Merrimack Valley. Got started in 1930. They bowl right now at Pilgrim Lanes. It's the Senior Club League. They bowl Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock. At Pilgrim Lanes, down to 6 teams starting in 1930. And don't know if they really are the oldest. But we certainly welcome your input if you are aware of any bowling leagues that are older than that.
Scott needs a mark. Nice shot by Scott Crayton. What a great shot that was, as he played the wood perfectly and got a spare that he needed desperately. And he really came through in the clutch.
And a shame he didn't get that shaky strike where 4-pin was standing last time, because that basically cost him 11 pins with that shot.
Now he's off the head pin, but he will get 7 in the spare.
Not the pin he wanted to fall, though. That makes it a very difficult spare with no wood to help him out. The 1, the 3, I'm sorry, the 1, the 4, and the 7.
2 ways to go with the pin or the ball. And he made it. Great shot by Scott Crayton. 2 great spares back to back by Scott Crayton, and boy, he needed spares, and he made 2 great shots. That time he took it with the ball to the 4-pin, and then the 4-pin took out the 7-pin after it banged off the sidewall. Talk about a guy who needed a couple of marks. Now Rich Clark, a little bit of a thin hit in the 1-2 pocket, but a makeable shot for Rich.
Can't blame him for hitting it a little thin after a spread eagle and a couple other bad split combinations.
The 3, the 5, and the 6, and here they go.
Like a machine. Giving away no bonus money yet today. We give you $50 for 3 marks in a row, 25 for each additional. A triple strike gets you $900 today.
That time Rich to the Brooklyn side. I suppose if for the lefty it's the Bronx side. Will he make it? He will not. Rich is at 124. 125 second string for Rich Clark. And a 2-string total of 258.
Chance for Scott Crayton with some good marking, good pitting, and 2 marks. Could actually win this game, which is hard to believe considering he was down about 30 pins midway through.
He threw it past the head pin, only puts 5 in the mark, and leaves a tough shot. 4 horsemen on the right side, the 8-pin in the back row. Will he get it? Will he get it? He will not get it. The 8-pin will wobble but won't go.
Stands very close to the foul line, Dick.
Takes a couple of 3
very small steps.
It's a 4-step delivery, but they're 4 very short steps.
First one you almost wouldn't even call it a step, kind of a stutter step.
And then he has a little quick 1-2 right at the finish line.
It's funny how our styles as bowlers don't change much from when we start out as kids.
In the pocket that time. Tough shot. This is the 2 and the 6. And it ain't easy.
There's no wood to help him out. It's a strict cut shot, about a 10 or 12 to 1 shot.
Tried to play it off the back wall, couldn't do it. He's at 101. .102 second string for Scott Crayton. 2-string total of 211. A 47-pin lead for Rich Clark as we head to the 3rd and final string of our first match of ladder series number 4. We continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Scott Crayton trails Rich Clark by 47 pins as we begin the 3rd string of our 3-string match. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Happy to have you with us for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. And Scott needs to put a big string out there. His high string in his career is a 192, I think.
That is correct. That is right.
High triple of 455. He was 668 for the 5-string roll-off. And he starts out with a 9 box.
Did you notice what a very small gap there was, Dick, between 1st and 5th place in this current ladder? Only 13 pins. Nobody ran away with it. I mean, had Jeff Bugia bowled, 12 pins or 15 pins less, he wouldn't have even been in it. But he's the top seed with 681.
Some of those scores are obscene, though, really, when you think about it. Can you imagine if you bowled a 667, you would have missed?
Yeah, right.
681 was the top seed. 678, 673, 670, and 668 to make the roll-off.
I bet that's the most narrow gap we've ever had from top to bottom. 13 pins.
Another 9-box for Scott. Matching 9s to start out. The third string, and 9s won't do it for Scott Crayton. He's going to need to mark. Rich Clark.
Yeah, he's in full command.
Rich has been bowling in a couple of leagues for many years. Bowls a couple of times a week. At least.
And practices as frequently as he can. This time of the year, a little bit easier. Not as many farm duties at Clark Farms in Bedford, New Hampshire. But once the growing season gets into full swing, tough to get out and do any practicing.
10-box for Rich.
We always like when Rich qualifies for the September ladder because he brings in lots of great Clark Farms produce for us.
That time he avoids the split and leaves the 4 and the 7. Has a makeable shot right here.
We like it when he makes a Tournament of Champions because he brings us flats of flowers for our gardens. We love Clark Farms.
Nice shot by Rich for the spare. Rich will add to the lead now with that mark in the second frame, and Scott Crayton with his back to the wall. He'd like to break up that split, but he can't do it.
It is the 6, 7, and 10. A piece of wood in front of the 6, 10, and a piece of wood in front of the 7.
We begin today with $120 in our bonus ball jackpot at the end of the match.
Getting up there.
Our winning bowler will bowl a ball, and we'll match him up with a contestant from home. And Scott with a 9-box, 3 9s to start out the third string for Scott. After every match, we draw a postcard from the big bin. And our lucky winner, if it matches the number bowled by the bowler, will win the cash jackpot, which, as I say, is $120. If it doesn't match, we have a consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. And you can enter and play along by sending a postcard with your name, address, and pick a number from 0 to 10. And send it to Bonus Ball Contest, care of Leda Lane, 340 Amherst Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. And the zip code is 03063.
So it's what, been about 11, 12 weeks since we've had a winner.
Pretty close. And Scott picks a pin off, and it's a 7-box for Scott.
6, actually.
Check it, a 6-box. He blocked out that last pin. I couldn't see it. Scott's at 33 through 4 boxes. Rich Clark can really put the hammer here with a mark or 2 in these next 2 boxes. Rich is off the head pin, putting just 6 in the mark. 4 horsemen on the left with no wood. The 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7. Missed the head pin. Just missed the head pin.
Saw Rich last March and April. He was the number 5 seed, defeated John Zappi, and then a week after that lost to Craig Holbrook.
Rich on the head pin. Tough shot here. Plays the wood. Will he make it? Back door. He will. We'll go to the break. You'll get to watch it again. Rich Clark played the wood and made a great spare. And he has a big lead heading down the home stretch. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. All right, Scott Crayton will be First of all, out of the break, and Scott has a mountain and a half to climb. He trails by 60 pins, plus a ball for Rich Clark.
He needs a Hawk Hallis performance here. Known for his 61-pin comeback in 7 frames a couple years ago.
He almost started it there with a 9-pin drop on a pretty good pocket shot. Wood is good.
Yeah, I think it's frozen.
And he should break into the mark column right here, and he does. And a round of applause from the faithful here at Leda Lanes. The crowd has grown since we began.
It has. Coming in out of the snowy weather, a Tuesday, January morning here in New Hampshire.
Glance over my shoulder, the snow is still coming down pretty good. Here's Scott putting 7 in the mark.
Although, Dick, you have to admit, this is our 4th season. We've never had a really awful snowy storm for any of our taping days.
Been very fortunate. Well, Scott thought he had it. I thought he had it. The crowd thought he had it. But the 9-pin refused to move. That'll be a 10 box.
Yeah, Rich Clark appears to be the winner. He'll be facing rookie Jeremy Seaholm out of Brookfield, Massachusetts, which is in the middle part of the state between Worcester and Springfield. Young Jeremy Seaholm with a 673 qualified 3rd in this ladder, and more than likely he'll be facing this man, Rich Clark, next Sunday.
Rich right in the pocket. He'll put 9 in the spare. Brookfield is right next to Spencer.
Familiar with that part of the state, huh?
I sure
That's
am.
right, you're a Worcester resident. Do you mind
Did
if I tell people that?
I don't remember ever telling you that. Another mark for Rich.
Worcester Chamber of Commerce must love you.
Worcester is a great city.
Birthplace to this great game. It's only fitting, Dick, that you would be a part of its
Absolutely
ongoing
true.
heritage.
It's my legacy. Rich will put 6
You've
in
got
the
a couple
spare.
terrific kids, I think. 3 of them there. Yeah. 4? 3.
At last count 3. And the counting has stopped, I might add.
Thank you for sharing.
Rich not able to get the 3 marks in a row. He gave it a shot, though, went to his knees, trying to inch that ball a little closer, but he was unable to do it.
67-pin lead with 4 frames to go. Well, Scott's got room for 6 strikes.
Well, we start hoping for some bonus money for Scott right now.
Yeah, that would be good.
Make the trip up from Weymouth worthwhile.
Paul Ouellette, who is our in-house scorer, retrieving Rich Clark's bowling ball, which had rolled forward about 25 feet down lane 33 and just spinning there. I guess we don't show him on camera because he'd have to get paid a talent fee. Is that the reason that we don't see him do that?
Here's Scott right in the pocket, and look what he's left with. How's that for a kick in the teeth? The 4 and the 10 with no wood after a pretty good pocket shot. And he'll take the 4. And now the 10. Well, if he's going to get some bonus money, he better start now.
Otherwise, he'll go home with a check for $150 for his efforts.
Well, in the pocket again. This time he's got some wood that'll help him. Maybe. The 2 and the 7. The wood backing up.
Still in pretty good position.
Has to hit the 2-pin. That's the key right here.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And that'll take the spare.
Yeah, without the wood, no
Yep.
less.
So bonus money is alive for Scott Crayton. And Rich Clark playing out the string here. He's looking for bonus money for himself.
More splits. We invite you to join us for the 8th annual Rock and Bowl fundraiser Sunday, February 25th at Pilgrim Lanes. Starts at 9 in the morning, goes till 1 o'clock with almost every bowler that you see on our show from time to time will be a part of a fundraiser to help send the kids from Pilgrim Lanes to Canada for their annual big tournament that happens, I believe, every year in March. Names like Bart Medeiros, Babe Carrington. The Morgan brothers will be there. Marianne and Bob Kelly, they're retired from bowling now, but they come out for this. Joanne Rosano, the winningest female bowler these days, or one of the top ones anyway. Joe Tavernese, Jackie Ray, Glennis Hickey, Sean McKinley. The list goes on. And gentleman who's our top seed, who we'll see in a couple weeks, Jeff Bugia, will be there. He is a product of the Pilgrim Lanes Junior program, Dick. You and I will be there hosting it all, and our infamous grudge match, our second annual, will take place, and we will have a video of it to show our fans on Channel 50, hopefully a few weeks after that. Again, it's Sunday the 25th of February for Rock and Bowl at Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill.
You going to show up?
Oh, I'm there.
All right, Scott Crayton looking for some bonus money. He was not blessed with a great lead.
Gentle way to put it.
And Scott will be open in the 9th frame, and he'll not get any bonus money.
Well, if he throws a triple strike, Dick, we'll give him $900.
Absolutely.
There's still room for that.
Happy to do it, too. It's an 8-box for Scott. He's at 94.
That'd be something, huh?
What a way to finish.
Wow. Well, he and...
So Rich Clark has a chance at some bonus money, and we'll watch Rich bowl his 9th frame and see where that takes us, as Scott will be open in the 10th frame. And he finishes with a 103 and a 3-string total of 314 for Scott Crayton. Rich Clark's already at 355 plus a ball. So we know that Rich has won the match. Now we're looking to see if Rich can win some bonus money, and we'll know that in just a moment. He'll have a tough shot to make if, in fact, he's going to make it. And after this shot, we'll be able to tell you if Rich has won some bonus money or has an opportunity to win some bonus money. And he will not. So Rich Clark will win in advance, and we'll come back to meet our bowlers when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire right after this on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. In the interest of time, we're going to go right to the bonus ball contest with our winning bowler, Rich Clark, rolling a ball. And you see there it is a 5. 5 is the number, and Mike Moran will reach into the bin and pull out a postcard. And the postcard from Violet Frothingham of Salisbury, Massachusetts. Violet chose 9, not a match. Consolation prize for Violet from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. And Rich Clark climbs the ladder.
He does with a 376 over 314 for Scott Crayton. Next week, 19-year-old Jeremy Seaholm is here.
And we'll see you then. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will be back next week for another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Mike Moran and our entire WNDS TV crew. I'm Dick Lutz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Let's go bowling, everybody.